Good evening, overcomers. According to my watch, it is 7 p.m. Sunday, so it is time for Motivation Sundays. Today's topic will be success, achievement, and goal setting, and the reverse order of that. First, hey, how you doing? First, I want to give a shout out. Hey, Grandma. First, I want to give a shout out to the people that's been helping me out a little bit, and just some people in general. First, I want to give a shout out to my best friend Buddha, who's been bringing the gaming and anime scene to the DMV area, and working with Wale and Every Blue Moon Gaming. So shout out to him for doing that. You can find him on YouTube at Anime Bay. Just watch his material. Second, I want to give a shout out to my graphic designer, Brianna Kirton, who's been dealing with my last two posts. You can see her material there. I just want to thank her for all her help and everything she's been doing for me. I also want to thank Boomy, who's the mastermind behind these I Am Legends, these legend shirts. He's really a great help for me, and everyone that's been following my progress knows about these shirts. So I just want to thank him for that. I think that's it. So I asked a question earlier of you guys. Pretty simple. Are you achieving the goals or all of the goals you set for yourself each and every day? And some of you answered yes, both on Instagram and Facebook. Some of you answered no. I find it interesting. Hey, how you doing, Marshall? I just want to touch on that a little bit and just get you guys' real-time thoughts on why you feel like you weren't accomplishing some of those goals and why you did feel like you were accomplishing some of those goals. I'm very curious to see what you think, but if you don't have an answer right now, just take some time to think on that. Hey, how you doing, Julius? Again, today's topic is goal setting and success achievement. So, with that being said, I want to jump into, first of all, the difference between dreams and goals. What's going on, right? Difference between dreams and goals. Dreams are things you wish upon, you actually think about in your sleep. That's what I call dreams. But they are just that, dreams. There's no action, there's no plan, there's no real thought process behind them. There's just something you want. Like if you wake up and say, I wish I was a billionaire today, that's more of a dream because there's no actionable things to act upon beyond that. There's no substantial action plan in place to obtain that billionaire status. So that's the dream. A goal, however, has something more substantial behind it, guiding your efforts to make you go forward and actually achieve that goal that you set for yourself. Now, in order to make these goals achievable, make them attainable, you want to start with developing goals that are called S.M.A.R.T goals. And what S.M.A.R.T goals are is an acronym for specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time measurable. When you say specific, you can't just say I want to be a billionaire. You have to say I want to be a billionaire that works at a top tech company, or I want to be able to read a book in 2 hours with 200 pages. So that's 100 pages an hour. Those are more specific. You say measurable because you can't say I want to be able to run far. That's not specific and it's not measurable. Far is a very relative term. So if you say, hey, I want to be able to run 300 meters in what, a minute and a half, that's more measurable and it's more specific. So think about that. Achievable. You don't want to start saying things like, I want to be able to do what's going on, brother. You don't want to say things like, I want to be able to do a triple somersault, but you're an accountant. You're not a gymnast. So those are in completely different fields of imagination, so that would not be achievable. Not saying you can't do it, because you can do anything, but that's not in your realm of focus. That doesn't focus on what your mission state is. Yes, I will keep threading well. And just irrelevant, so time measurable. You don't want to say, I'm going to lose weight this year. That's kind of a long, lofty goal, and not really you setting yourself to a deadline so you can get to the end of this year and like, oh, I want to do it next year, and I'll do it next 2 years, and then so on and so forth. So you want to say something like, I want to lose 10 pounds in the next 15 days. That's more specific, that's more measurable, and that has a time variable, because it's not just any amount of days, but there are actually a number of days, which is 15. So also you want to recognize the difference between a long-term goal and a short-term goal. You can't expect to say, I want to start my business in digital advertising in this week. That's not a very achievable goal with the given time frame. That's more of a long-term goal that you might want to say in the next 6 months to a year. Whereas you don't want to say something like, I want to make a bowl of cereal, and by the end of the year, that doesn't even make sense. That's more of a short-term. A better example would be something like, I want to start making healthier meals for breakfast. You can do that the next day, but if you say I want to start next year, that really confuses you, and it doesn't really stick to the time frame. So how do you achieve those goals? Well, first of all, you have to figure out, what are your goals? What do you want to achieve? What are you trying to aim for? What is your mission? Then you can write your SMART goals, and then you can start your process of trying to achieve the goals you have set forward. So things like, let's say your goal is to run a marathon within 6 months with some amount of training attached to it. You cannot say, I'm just going to run the marathon in 6 months. There's no substance behind it. You need a plan to achieve your goals. So what I said in my earlier video today is that first you need to figure out what those goals are and write them down. Then you need to internalize them by reading them over and over and over again. And then you need to create a plan. So running a marathon is not something most people are naturally able to do. You need to come up with some type of training regimen to guide your body to the pace and the intensity that is required of you from a marathon. You need to develop a training plan, or you may need to hire a coach or a team or something of that nature to really get your body in shape for what task you're about to endure. So those 3 steps together make it easier for you to achieve those kind of goals, whether your goals may be, hey, I want to be debt-free within the next 6 months. Well, your debt's just not going to go away. You're going to have to remanage your finances, move some money around, and figure out ways to pay the debt off, or find ways to get yourself out of it, legally, of course. And you really have to develop a plan, because if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. That is key. You always have to have a plan for all these things you do to have a major impact on yourself, and a lot of times your family as well, especially when it comes to money, finances, and healthcare and things of that nature. Even for me, when I was told I had another surgery, I didn't just lay around and I was just having another surgery. I was given a specific date, specific medicines to take to keep myself up, and I remained active in my household, and I had a plan to get up every day, do my stretches, just to keep my body loose. And then after surgery, and once therapy started, I had to do the same thing. I had to get up, do my stretches, drink water, eat breakfast, kind of keep my body up, and then try to do some type of small workout each day to keep my body back in shape. Now I continue to do that because I have a goal of being at least 60 to 70% by October 12th with this year, which will be a year from my last surgery. So it may need to be more specific because 67% isn't, it's all relative, it's not really measured out into what 60-70% of my stuff is, but I'm going to work on that goal. But just remember, your goals need to be specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time measurable. You also need to decide whether the goals you set are going to be long-term or short-term. So I have a little homework for you guys that watch this video now and watching this video later. Write down 5 of your biggest short-term goals and see if you can execute them within a day, a week, or this month. Now you can choose whether or not you want to DM me those goals so I can hold you accountable, or you're going to hold yourself accountable. But I challenge you all to write down 5 of your top short-term goals and see if you can execute them within a month, or within a week, or within the day. What's going on, Rigo? Just try to execute those goals. So in summary, there are 3 things you need to do to achieve the goals you set. You need to write them down, figure out what they are, and write them down. You need to read them over and over and over again so that you don't forget them and they become second nature. Last thing you need to do is make those goals. Well, first you need to make SMART goals. All the goals you set need to be SMART goals. But the last thing you really need to do is you have to make SMART goals, and you have to make a plan behind each of the goals you set for yourself. Because if you don't plan, you plan to fail. So make sure all the goals you set are SMART goals. Again, that's specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time measurable. Write those goals down to yourself and see if you can accomplish them within a month, a week, or a day. And that's all I have for you guys today. Next week we'll be back, and it'll be a more financial management, financial planning sort of focus. So be up for that. That'll be next Sunday at 7 p.m. Remember, the darkest night always comes before the brightest morning. It's been real chatting with you guys, and I will see you next week.